Most shows lie to us. They sell dreams. They offer heroes we can't become and villains we'll never meet. But Game of Thrones didn't lie, at least not in its early seasons. It showed us life with its mask off. Dirty, unfair, hungry, brilliant. Credit goes to George R. Martin and the early showrunners who had the courage to make something real. No lectures, no fake morals. Just people. Full of hope, fear, rage, love, and lies. This wasn't a show about a throne. It was about us. Let's talk about the characters. And more importantly, what they reveal about the kind of animals we are. Jon Snow was born with a label, the outsider, a bastard. Even in the safety of Winterfell, he always felt he didn't belong. He went to the wall seeking purpose and found burden, betrayal, and war. But Jon never stopped doing what he thought was right. Even when people mocked him, even when it cost him everything. He is that part in many of us that craves honesty, that wants to be useful, to protect, to serve a cause greater than ourselves. But he is also the tired one, the one who carries everyone's expectations until the weight becomes too much. Jon reminds us that doing the right thing doesn't always feel heroic. Sometimes it just feels lonely. Cersei Lannister was born into power, but not into respect. As a woman, she was used, ignored, and forced to smile through it. So she decided to never be weak again. Everything she did, from cruel games to ruthless killings, came from a place of fear. Fear of loss, fear of vulnerability, fear of being nothing. Cersei shows us the side of ourselves that believes love must be protected through control. She reminds us that when fear drives us, we start to believe that power is safety. But the more tightly we grip, the more we destroy the very things we're trying to hold on to. Tyrion Lannister was mocked for his height, blamed for his birth, and never loved by his father. But he used his mind. He read. He listened. He watched. He drank too much and spoke too sharply, but he felt deeply. Tyrion shows us the outsider who survives through wit and wisdom. He is that part of us that hides pain with humor, that knows what it feels like to be misunderstood. But also, he teaches that kindness and intellect can still win, even in a cruel world. He reminds us to value those who see through masks and to keep learning no matter how broken we feel. Arya Stark lost everything: her father, her home, her childhood. She ran, survived, trained, and became no one, only to realize she could never really erase who she was. Arya is the fire inside us, the need to take back control after being helpless. She's the part of us that refuses to be a victim, even if it means becoming something hard, even violent. But she also teaches that revenge doesn't always bring peace. In the end, we have to choose. Do we stay a fighter forever? Or do we learn how to rest again? Brienne of Tarth was loyal to a fault. Laughed at, mocked, insulted. Yet she never broke her code. In a world of liars, she stayed honest. In a world of games, she played fair. Brienne reflects the rare part of human nature that still believes in integrity. She reminds us that honor isn't weakness, and that faithfulness matters, even if no one notices. But she also shows how painful it can be to stay true when everyone else takes shortcuts. Still, she proves that dignity is its own reward. Littlefinger, or Peter Baelish, came from nothing and wanted everything. He used whispers instead of swords, planted lies, and moved people like chess pieces. He is the ambitious voice inside us, the one that says, if I just get a little more, I'll finally matter. But he also reveals a truth. When you build your life on manipulation, there is no real ground beneath your feet. Littlefinger reminds us what happens when we see people only as steps on a ladder. Eventually, that ladder falls. Samwell Tarly was soft in a world that valued strength. He loved books more than battles, yet he still faced the dark. He killed a White Walker, cured disease, and saved knowledge. Sam is proof that bravery doesn't always look loud. He represents the quiet strength, the part of us that helps, learns, supports, not for credit, but because it's right. He reminds us that sometimes being kind in a cruel world is the most radical choice of all. The Hound, Sandor Clegane, was angry, violent, bitter, but behind all that fire was a lifetime of pain, a brother who burned him, a world that made him a weapon. He hated everything soft because soft things didn't survive in his world. But over time, cracks appeared. He protected Arya. He looked for peace. The Hound shows us the wounded side of human nature, the side that acts tough only to hide the pain, and how, even in the hardest hearts, a little light still survives. Bran Stark saw more than anyone. He became the three-eyed raven, a being who watched time itself. He lost desire, ego, and even identity. And yet, he became king. Bran reflects the rarest part of us, awareness without judgment. He is the still mind, the observer, the one who doesn't fight, doesn't react, but simply sees. He shows that real power doesn't always come from action. Sometimes it comes from understanding. We all like to think we're the heroes of our own stories. But the truth is, we're not just Jon Snow or Arya. We're also Cersei when we're scared, Littlefinger when we're greedy. We're Brienne when we stand alone, the Hound when we hurt too long. We carry all of them, every shade. That's why this story matters. Not because it gave us dragons or battle, but because it gave us a mirror. So maybe life is a game of thrones, but the throne isn't gold or power. The real throne is inside us. And every day, some part of us sits on it. Will it be love, fear, ego, peace? That's the real war, and it never ends.